How's it going, everyone? Today we got a story time of this guy and this girl who got caught in the school janitor's closet doing something that, let's just say, they should not be doing in the janitor's closet. This story is pretty crazy, so sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story John. So anyways, John had a best friend who we're going to call Robert or Rob. He goes by either. Anyways, John and Rob did everything together. They were very tight. They were good friends. And they were also friends with this girl who we're going to call Ruby. There was a little bit of a friend group of John, Rob, Ruby, and a couple other people, but really strong between John, Rob, and Ruby. They were really tight, and they've known each other for a long time, or at least they've been friends for a long time. And after a little bit of time, Rob and Ruby kind of developed a little bit of a relationship until it turned into a full-fledged girlfriend-boyfriend type thing. And this has been going on for about a year at this point. So there's another character who I'm going to introduce. And I'm going to call him Ben. Ben was kind of like the kind of jock, D-bag, not like that kind of guy in high school who's actually gets a lot of the girls, massive jerk to everyone. So anyways, one of these days, Ruby starts hanging out with him a lot, and kind of like Rob and John are sitting at the lunch table together when she's not there, and Rob is kind of sitting with John. He's like, dude, I know this is kind of crazy and random, and I shouldn't be even bringing this up, and I'm being stupid for bringing this up. He's like, but dude, I really don't like the amount of time Ruby's spending with Ben. Ben is the most D-bag guy I've ever seen. Why does she even like him? Why is she even spending time with him? And at first, John was like, bro, she's going to hang out with other guys. She was friends with us and all of our friends before she had any feelings. She still hangs out with me and all the other boys. Maybe this is just another one of those type of relationships. If she's never had any friendship with a guy before besides you, then I could totally see where you're coming from. I know that guy sucks. Maybe keep an eye out for it, but I definitely wouldn't say anything. And let me just say that John was completely wrong and right. John was wrong in this situation, even though his logic was correct. Real quick, we got a message from today's video sponsor. I just wanted you guys to be ready for this out-of-this-world adventure with Honkai Star Rail. From Hoyoverse, the makers of Genshin Impact, comes the award-winning Honkai Star Rail, hailed as the best mobile game at the TGA and a chart topper on Google Play and App Store for 2023. This multi-platform space fantasy RPG is free to play on PC, PS5, and mobile, with data syncing across all platforms. The V1.6 update is here with new maps, events, and the exciting addition of a space station to explore. Also, I want to introduce a new limited 5-star character, Ruan Mei, an elegant and beautiful biological dressed in an Eastern aesthetic capable of increasing SPD and break efficiency for allies. Her personality is mysterious and full of contradictions. Ruan Mei is an ice-type character that follows the path of harmony, capable of supporting her allies by increasing SPD and break effects. I'm also here to introduce a new limited 5-star character, Dr. Ratio. A graceful and poised classic Adonis with a peculiar personality, viewed as a worldwide genius. But don't be fooled by his attractive appearance. His interests and priorities lie in furthering the dissemination of knowledge. Dr. Ratio is an imaginary type character that follows the path of the hunt, possessing powerful follow-up attacks and will gain various powerful buffs based on the debuffs his enemy suffers. And also in the V1.6 game update, you will head into a space station and assist Ruan Mei in solving an issue. At long last, the highly sought-after Stellar Jade hunters Blade and Kafka will return in the 1.6 update. Log into Honkai Star Rail on the 17th of this month, and you can receive one copy of the 5-star character Dr. Ratio. This will be the first time that Honkai Star Rail has given out a limited 5-star character. Hurry and head to the game to claim the present. So I want you guys to download the game using the link in the description. As well, I will have redemption codes in the description to redeem Stellar Jade. Go ahead and download Honkai Star Rail today. And now back to the video. Anyways, later that day, yes, the whole thing falls apart later that day. So just as a quick recap, if you forgot, Rob is a little worried that his girlfriend Ruby something's up with her hanging out with Ben, because Ben is a total D-bag, and why would you want to hang out with him? Guys, in general, you should be careful about being too jealous in your relationships, and I totally agree with that. However, this is definitely a situation where something is up. So towards the end of the day, John, he's heading towards his locker. It's a long day. He's ready to go home. It's a Friday, so he's kind of got that little pep in his step. He's got a little bit of hype with him. You know, I don't know about you guys, but for me on Friday, I'm always hype. I'm always bumping. I'm always having a good time. And so he's going to his locker, opens it up, grabs his backpack, and that's where he just hears something weird. A weird sound, doesn't make a lot of sense. And there is a supply closet, like the janitor's broom closet, very close to his locker. He's in a row of hundreds of lockers, but he's at the very end of it. So there's maybe one or two more lockers to the right of him, and then a little bit of space, and then the closet. So anyways, he's like, what? Because it's not like, I don't know, the sound of like a janitor going through supplies. It was a, okay. It was a sucking type sound. I'm just going straight to the point. I'm cutting to the chase. We're getting to it. That was the type of sound. It made literally no sense. Like, why the hell is that coming from a supply closet, bro? That makes no sense at any point. So anyways, John obviously is curious. He's like, okay, what's going on here? So he goes over and so John just like opened up the supply closet. Maybe he should have knocked first. Maybe he should have done something for, should he have just like blown open the supply closet? No, maybe not. But he does it anyways. And things are about to get bad. So strap in, prepare yourself. And I'm not going to be too graphic, but I'm going to cut to the chase. John opens the door and he sees Ben and Ruby, which first of all, it's like, hey, yo, boys, what are you doing? Or guys and girl, what are you doing in there? But how do I explain this? I don't know how to explain this. They're in the supply closet. It was Ben. It was Ruby. Ruby may or may not have been on her knees. And Ben may or may not have had his pants down. And I'm not going to go any farther from that. Either you can fill in the gaps yourself. And if you can't, just don't even think about it. Right? So John is looking at her. And Ruby's looking at her, and Ben's looking, and there's a moment, after like a second or something, after that moment, like quickly like brings up his pants, and like Ruby grabs the supply closet door to slam it quickly. But there's a moment where they're all just looking at each other, and Ruby and John just make eye contact. Because don't forget, Ruby and John were tight. They all had this big friend group. John and Ruby were genuinely friends with, I mean, John could have thought whatever he thought about Ruby, you know what I mean? But he's not going to do anything because, you know, his boy Rob is dating her. But they had a lot of moments together, not even as a group of three of them. Like John and Ruby had some type of friendship level connection as well. So John was just like, oh my God. So John's just kind of like standing there. The supply closet door gets slammed shut by Ruby, right? He's just standing there. He's like standing by his locker, and he puts his hands on top of his head, and it's just like, oh no, because he knows what he has to do. He's much closer friends with Rob. There's no way he's not going to tell him, unless he got like amnesia or like his family was threatened by gunpoint. He's going to tell Rob. So eventually the door opens up. Ruby walks out, and John's just looking at Ruby like, what the hell, dude? Like, what? Why would you do that? And so Ruby's like, John, you can't tell him. And like Ben like walks out. And Ben's like such a massive D-bag. He's like smiling. He's smirking. He's like, comes up. He's like, sorry, bro. You had to see that. You know, boys got to eat. Just something like so annoying. Walks off. And John's like, look, first of all, cheating on my boy with anyone is bad enough. But Ben? Dude. And Ruby's like, I'm sorry, I don't know. You can't tell him though. We have such a good thing going. You know, I made a mistake. And John's like, yes, you did make a mistake. But also, when someone shoots someone and they die, they made a mistake, obviously, but they still go to prison. Don't act like you can just have, actions without the associated consequences here. What do you expect? Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment closet down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. I'm going to try and spam heart as many of you guys as I possibly can. So if you want a better chance of getting a heart, comment closet 3 separate times so there's a better chance to see your comment. Anyways, so John looks at Ruby and is like, dude, I'm telling Rob. And Ruby's like, no, no, no. She's like begging him. John basically doesn't like karate slam her off of him, but he kind of pushed her off like, no, I'm going to go find Rob. So John's looking around, and eventually he finds Rob with a couple of the other boys. Rob has such a nice look on his face. He's smiling, kind of bouncing around a little bit. Dude, it's freaking Friday energy, man. I get that. So John is like, oh my God. John has a pit in his stomach. He now needs to deliver some of the worst news to Rob ever. Pulls Rob aside, or he's like, hey, yo, can I like talk to you privately? Doesn't want to drop the news in front of all the guys. Rob can do that if he wants, at his time, however he wants to do it. Pulls him aside. He says, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I got really bad news for you. And Rob was like, oh my God, I knew she was cheating. And John is just like, what? Like, how did Buddy know? So John kind of went into details about the story. Like, I mean, Rob wasn't caught off guard, obviously, but Rob is still devastated. Rob really did love this girl. Well, as much as like you can love someone in high school, right? You get really tight to them. You realize that other humans have the same problems and we all kind of have the same problems, even if we mask it well. So he's devastated. John goes through, tells the whole story, kind of leaves out a few details, but make sure that, you know, he gives every single thing, like every single detail possible, just to make sure that like Rob understands what's up. Rob calls Ruby. She picks up the phone. It's like, hey, Rob's like, look, I think, you know, we got to talk about, like, can you just meet me right now? Like, if you're still here. Ruby's like, yeah, sure. Ruby comes around the corner. John is like, low-key, John was trying to get out of there so he could have a moment. And Rob's like, no, I want you to stay just in case, like, you have to corroborate something or, like, refer to, like, I need you as, like, a witness. He's like, oh, come on, bro. Like, I don't want to be here, man. But, you know, he does it for the boys. Rob and Ruby kind of like talk about it for a second. Rob's very straight up. Ruby is like, it's a mistake. It wouldn't happen again. And Rob's like, there's no way I can trust you here. Like, you know, I love you, Ruby. Why would you do this? Oh, you know, he wasn't being that dramatic, but he was like, yeah, I really liked you. I don't know why you would do this. Especially Ben. And like, John's like, yeah, Ben. Ruby kind of gives John a look of like, butt out of this, buddy. Like, this is my problem. Yeah, but Rob and Ruby break up, obviously. Their whole friend group, unfortunately, like definitely splinters a lot. A lot of the boys stay together, but I don't know. I don't know if you guys have experienced being in a friend group, maybe like a mixed gender friend group. Whenever there's like one falling out, even if you're cool with other people, I've had this personally experienced to me. Like there was a falling out between these two girls in a pretty big friend group of mine with a bunch of guys and girls, and like a third of the friend group I just never see anymore, even though I'm totally cool with them. So the same thing kind of happened, which is kind of a crappy way for it to go out. But better that Rob is single and on the market and find someone better than stay with Ruby, who will likely do it again. Because, hey man, once a cheater, probably always a cheater.